Hi all, this is Once and Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon Challenge. Last time was a pleasant effort through the Kanto region as we sought to see if I could beat Pokemon Yellow with a single Poliwag. Today though, we do the first team run of the year as we head to Johto and see if I can beat Pokémon Heart Gold with a team of Oddish and Bellsprout. What can we say? I'll do Oddish first. We've got a 320 base stat total, we've got a pretty decent special attack, and our defences aren't too bad, but our speed is low, so that's not good. We're probably about on par with a first form starter. Bellsprout is lower, with only a 300 base stat total, but both our attack stats make up nearly half of that. Our speed is slightly better than Oddish's, but our defences are so much worse, so some good, some bad. They're both grass and poison types, so weak to flying, fire, psychic and ice, while resisting fighting, water, grass and electric. Oddish's moveset is more supportive than anything. We have a lot of status moves, plus mainly health restoring moves. Giga Drain will be nice come the end, and we may get some use out of the various powders or Moonlight. Via TM we can get Sludge Bomb, which may be handy. Bellsprout does get more attacking moves, but many of them are underwhelming, like Acid, Knockoff or Slam. Nice coverage, but not going to do us a lot of good in terms of damage output. This might be the one that gets returned, and also both can learn Swords Dance, which is good to know, even if that TM is locked behind Bolt or Flip. Both have Chlorophyll as an ability, so Sunny Day may be an option on one of them. The rules are on the screen throughout. This challenge was suggested by Patreon Jason Cabanuk. Originally it was supposed to be in Gen 5, but I couldn't find a way to do it. There probably is a way to do it, but I don't know how. Had a similar problem last year with the Onyx and Geodude run, which ended up being in White 2 rather than Black and White 1. Can't believe that was a year ago, give or take. As always, if you have any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below or follow the links in the description to Twitter or Discord. Thank you so very much for watching, folks. If you do enjoy what you see, then like, subscribe and ring that bell. Let's get this started. Both of these Pokemon can be caught in Johto, but Bellsprout is something we can get earlier. I can't get Oddish until after the second gym, so I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Chikorita with Oddish. I chose to replace Chikorita so that the rival would steal Cyndaquil, the hardest for us to fight. This team will be pretty flammable. So I nicknamed the Oddish Oddball because why not? I was in two minds whether to nickname these or not, but oh well. Oddball has the docile nature, so neutral stat gains all across the board, and also, as predicted, the Chlorophyll ability, because Gen 4 we don't get anything else. So we head off towards Mr. Pokemon's house and do a bit of training. It is actually ridiculous how set up against grass types this region is. So, we'll have the Flying Gym, the Bug Gym and the Ghost Gym, where they are all part poison types to get through in the first half of the game, as well as a Steel Gym, an Ice Gym and the Dragon Gym as well, so best get training then, and that's even before we get onto the Elite Four. No time like the present to start training. Even on the early route here, it's the night and there's a lot of Hoots hanging about, which isn't ideal for us to fight, so I escape these fights. If I head north, I can go to the bottom of Route 45, I think it is, and there are wild Geodude there, which is handy because we can one-shot those very easily. Plus, Rattata seem to be more common up there, and as a result, we can soon up our level very nicely. I will need to do that because there is a rival fight coming up soon. On the subject of that rival fight, we got to level 9 and got the move Acid as a result, which is definitely going to be handy. I know it won't have a fire move, but trying to fight a Cyndaquil with only Absorb doesn't sound like my definition of fun. We are levelling quite easily at this point, which is nice. Anyway, the rival fight, it is pretty straightforward as we drop a pair of acids onto the Cyndaquil, and rather than make it hallucinate, it probably just melts it a lot and we have a quick victory. The idea of the move Acid is pretty horrific if you really think about it, I'm just saying. Anyway, before I enter Violet City, I managed to catch myself a Bellsprout, and just like that, we've gotten ourselves a team we're going to use for the run. I like how the Pokédex entry describes it as blindingly fast when hunting prey, but at the same time our base stats say otherwise. Mind you, the Pokédex entries are always weird. I nicknamed the Bellsprout Beanshoot. Beanshoot also has the docile nature, so yeah, let's get training before we go into the Flying Gym. I think I'll want them both to be about level 14 or 15 because, in a shocking twist, Faulkner isn't a complete joke in this game like he is in Gold, Silver and Crystal. You know, I always find it interesting just how different this game is to the ones that came before, because after all here, you have to go through Sprout Tower before fighting Faulkner, which is an interesting take on it. I wonder if we will see another set of Johto remakes in the next year or two. It's a theory that's been pushed for a while. It is nice to make Sprout Tower have a point though, because really it is worth pointing out that in Gen 2 you could avoid it completely if you really wanted to. Anyway, Faulkner, let's go and get this on against him. It's not going to be easy. Getting hit with super effective flying type moves is not going to be even slightly pleasant. It is worth remembering that. Anyway, we begin with Bellsprout versus Pidgey, and we sleep powder it straight off the bat to render it ineffective for the time being, and then we start unleashing Wrap on it for a bit of chip damage. Wrap is not the greatest move in existence. I feel comfortable saying that. It's weak, it's inaccurate, and the chip damage isn't too special. But eventually, by the time the Pidgey does wake up and hit a tackle, we have hurt it enough to bring it down. Anyway, Pidgeotto is next, and it is faster, so we're getting hit each time. But we do land Poison Powder, and that's going to hurt it over time. We get hit with 2 gusts to put us on red health, but we also get a crit wrap off before Bellsprout goes down. Oddish comes in and we start to fire acid at Pidgeotto, who does try to save itself with Roost, but it only delays the inevitable, and we soon bring it down to give us the first badge and we can move along. There's a bit of walking now as we head towards the next gym. We need to go through Union Cave and then we need to kick Team Rocket out of the Slowpoke well. I'm less than enthusiastic about the possibility of the next gym, since it is the Bug Gym. The saving grace is that we do take only neutral damage to bug type moves, but the Cypher is going to be a bit of an obstacle for sure. I don't even think the rival fight after is going to be particularly pleasant, since he will have 2-part poison types and they will resist us heavily, but we will have to see. I do make a stab at the Bug Gym and it does go pretty badly despite the scoreline. Normally, we take on this gym with a single Pokemon and come out smelling of roses, but here, with 2, we come up ever so slightly short. The gym puzzle is different this time in the remakes of Gold and Silver, in the sense that in these games there is actually a gym puzzle. In Gold, Silver and Crystal it's a pretty insipid design, though it's probably worth remembering that the puzzles proper don't start until Gym 4 in this game in the originals. Cypher is out first, it hits Beanshoot with U-turn and gets out of the battle, prompting a confrontation for Bellsprout versus Metapod. We hit a Vine Whip because I misclicked, which isn't ideal, but at least we do crit the move. When we have to try and wear it down with Wrap, that's when the problem arises, because the move just doesn't do enough damage. And unlike in the original games, here is the twist. Metapod and Kakuna can actually attack. To be fair, they can in the original, they just tend not to. Metapod and Bellsprout trade blows, but the U-turn from Cypher hurt badly, and eventually Metapod brings Beanshoot down. Take a moment to consider that, before Oddball comes in and drops Metapod with Acid. Cypher is back out and we miss Stun Spore twice in a row, because of course, when it goes for Focus Energy and Leer, before going for a U-turn out to bring Kakuna in. Oddball does deal with Kakuna somewhat easily, dropping some acid attacks onto it even though they are resisted, but it does take 3 of them to bring it down, which again, not ideal. Oddball is hurting though when Cypher comes out, and a quick attack brings down Oddish to give Bugsy the win. I think Beanshoot might need a better move, so let's train up a bit. I get both members of my team to level 23 and decide to come back at that point. Bellsprout has Acid now, and our attacking stats are pretty level, so it being a special move rather than physical isn't going to be too much of an issue. Let's see how this goes. Better is the answer. Oddish begins versus Cypher this time, and I'm expecting the U-turn, which never comes, and instead we counter its Leer with Acid for about a quarter. I don't fancy getting hit with an attack from Cypher while our defence has been lowered and switch into Bellsprout. We do get hit with a crit quick attack because of course, but that would have hurt Oddish more, and we managed to land Sleep Powder on Cypher to send it into the land of Nod. Then we can acid it at will, getting a special defence drop, which means we are just going to hurt it even more. And although it both eats a berry to try and save itself and Bugsy drops a super potion on it, we do eventually bring it down to give us a win over Bugsy's main threat. Metapod is out next and it can barely hurt us with tackle, however we do hurt it quite a considerable amount more with acid, and the second attack has the benefit of finishing it off. The Kakuna doesn't stand much of a chance, we shrug the poison sting off, and although we do slightly over half with acid, again the second one is enough to take it out. 2 badges down. We have a rival fight before we leave town, and as I said before, the fact he heavily resists our stab types is not going to be good. Ghastly quad resists poison, Zubat quad resists grass, and Quilava can set us on fire, so let's see how fun this is or isn't going to be. Mind you, I think we are going to struggle with ghost types throughout. I know we get knockoff, but it's not a good move in this gen. I may need to utilise it throughout though. Anyway, Oddish hits Ghastly with Mega Drain for decent damage, and it then takes itself out with Curse, which is good in one sense, but the damage over time is not. Quilava is next, and I was going to switch out, but I figure that I might as well sack Oddish for this, see if we can get some damage on our fire type opponent. Quilava goes for Leer as we hit our first acid, but when it goes for Smokescreen on the next turn, our second acid flies wide and we are duly taken out by Ember from low health. It's up to Bellsprout then, and Beanshoot enters the fight. Again, we get hit with Leer and Smokescreen, but we can fling enough acid at Quilava to bring it down before too much bad stuff happens, and then we can move on to Zubat. It lands Supersonic at the second attempt as we fire acid attacks at it, doing about a third each time. This is getting somewhat risky now, unfortunately. We do hit ourselves in confusion and get tagged with a bite, but ultimately, in the end, we can land the acid we need to bring Zubat down. Next, we've got the notoriously horrible fight with Whitney. You know what that means, it'll be the battle with the Satanic Cow. With our speed stats, I feel like we're probably not going to have a good time here, but I suppose we will see how it goes. On the subject of Whitney then, let's get on and do this. I do some Voltorb flip and get the Swords Dance TM, so I figure that might help us out. It's not entirely impossible, we will have to see. I mean, I get a strange feeling that this is going to be a frustrating fight. I don't know where it comes from, but hey, let's see. Experience maybe. We put Clefairy to sleep with Bellsprout, and while it is asleep, we use 2 Swords Dancers. It doesn't stay asleep for long and uses Metronome twice. The first time is False Swipe, which I can live with, and the second time is naturally a super effective Fire Fang, but the saving grace is that it doesn't do too much damage at least. We then take Clefairy out with a single Vine Whip. Okay, and now Miltank. We hit a knockoff to get rid of its Lumberry, and then we start pounding it with our +4 Vine Whip. Now, it's just not enough to knock it out. We are doing massive damage, but she does have super potions, and unfortunately, she isn't afraid to use them. Plus, the stomp attacks do big damage, and she also lands a Tract on us. I figure she's going to super potion at one point and try to put it to sleep, but the attract stops us from moving. Beanshoot trades blows with Miltank for a while, but ultimately, Bellsprout goes down. Oddball comes out and does manage to paralyse Miltank with Stun Spore, but again, we get hit with a Tract and have so many moves fail, which is absolutely soul destroying. Worse, Miltank uses Milk Drink to heal up. I genuinely think we are going to lose this effort until we crit a Mega Drain and bring it down, but that was unpleasant, I will say. We make our way to Ecruteak, and the next major fight is versus the rival in the Burned Tower, and I don't feel like this is going to be any sort of fun. I have trained up to get them both to level 35 because I feel like we are going to need to be drastically over leveled for the next bit of the game. For the rival fight, for the Ghost Gym, and probably the Steel Gym too. I can do that last one later if need be, but I can't really avoid the first two if I want to progress the game. This fight is gruelling. So, we begin with Beanshoot versus Ghastly and go for a swords dance, but a mean look connects on us, stopping us from leaving. The swords dance means I'm not going to be switching out if I can help it though, so it's trapped in here with us rather than us being trapped in here with it, and we down it with knockoff. Quilava is next, and this is annoying because we miss Sleep Powder twice, getting hit with both Ember and repeated smoke screens. I give up and start hitting it with knockoffs, and we do eventually put it on red health, but our attacks start to miss. Quilava's Blaze ability kicks in and we go down to Ember. Oddball is slower than Quilava and we get hit with a smoke screen, but we take it out with Acid, as we then have to fight Zubat, and this fight is irritating because not only does it resist all our moves, it lands a supersonic on us, and that is really annoying in combination with the smoke screen because it makes our turn more likely to be wasted. Super effective wing attack is also annoying as we can't quite make the killing hit on it, and we have to use Moonlight twice eventually to heal ourselves as we get worn down over time. Eventually though, we do bring Zubat down with Acid. Last is Magnemite, and our Mega Drain does at least do some decent damage, but there is still time for us to get paralysed by Thunder Wave, but it doesn't prove to be to our detriment as we bring it down. Let's move on to the Ghost Gym then. I am worried about Morty for sure. I feel like there's a pretty big chance we are going to get hurt badly in this fight. I don't know how useful Oddish will be, and when your big hope is a combo of Swords Dance and pre-Gen 6 knockoff, that's something that potentially isn't going to end well. Still, I suppose we'll have to see. This actually does go better than expected, as Beanshoot begins to fight away against the ghosts. First is Ghastly, we go for a Swords Dance and it hits us with a Spite. I can really live with that all day, and we swat it with knockoff to give us a knockout. Thankfully, Haunter isn't faster than us and we knock it down with a knockoff to put us 2 up. Now comes Gengar though, and this is the obstacle. It begins with Mean Look and we use knockoff to do slightly under 2/3 of its health, and we get rid of its Citrus Berry. We have to tank a Shadow Ball because it is faster, and we drop it with another knockoff before the fight with the second Haunter begins, and we take it down very quickly with yet another knockoff. Alright, okay, that wasn't bad then. 4 down. I think my next destination is going to be Cianwood City. Chuck is probably our best option of victory at this point. I think we will have more chance there. Beat Chuck, go do the Rocket Hideout and the Ice Gym, and then I'll do Jasmine last, I believe. That's my plan. I do find it strange just how different this gym is in this game as opposed to the simple push rock puzzle in Gen 2, but I digress. The first attempt is a loss after Primeape spams double team repeatedly and we never land a leaf on it, though it didn't help that I wasted 2 turns trying to put something with Vital Spirit to sleep. However though, the second attempt, I will say, goes much better. Beanshoot goes for 1 Swords Dance, while Primeape does double team twice, but despite getting hit by a Rock Slide, we can 2-hit the Angry Monkey with a Vine Whip, and that is massive because we level up and learn Razor Leaf. Less accuracy, but more power and PP. That accuracy drop is going to cost us at some point, I feel that. We outspeed Poliwrath and drop it with Razor Leaf. I head to the Rocket Hideout next, and while I'm going through here, since it has become tradition, let's talk about what is ongoing with the channel. I mentioned it on the last video, I believe, but you might have noticed if you're subscribed that the Let's Play stuff hasn't been as frequent of late, and it boils back into what I said, that I am taking a breather from trying to get content out every single day of every single week. You might have noticed that the challenges remain consistently planned in every 2 weeks. This time last year, I was kicking out one every week and it was a tight schedule and it pretty much burned me out. Same with the Let's Plays. I am recording a playthrough of Batman Arkham Asylum at the moment, and I'm not entirely done with Resident Evil 5 either, but that's something for another day, and I don't know when that day will be, but I'm sure I'll work it out sooner or later. I still don't know what the plan is with Pokemon Colosseum, but again, that's a decision for another day. I don't hate the game, but it just feels really slow, and the level curve is astonishing and not in a good way, so having to do a lot of grinding for it, and I don't really want to. There has been Pokemon Master Showdown though. We had Agatha versus Kieran the day after Yellow with Poliwag Challenge aired, and last week we had Milo versus Miriam. Hopefully there'll be another one tomorrow, but time of writing is 2 days after the Poliwag Challenge premiered. I don't have that layer of knowledge yet. I do know that it's going to be Carmine versus Chairman Rose though. Challenge wise, next one is potentially also going to be brutal as I make a return to Gen 3 and it's going to be the first Pokemon Emerald Challenge of the year as we see if I can beat Pokemon Emerald with just a single Paras. That could be horrific, but I guess we'll see. You'll have to join me on that one and we'll see how it plays out. I don't do many Heart Gold challenges, you know, but I always do enjoy it when I do. I'll have to try and get a few more in somewhere. If you do want to see me do more challenges in this game, you can always submit challenge requests in the comments section down below or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord, and I swear I will start to use them more eventually. I will also say that I do have a Gen 7 challenge planned in for a few months' time, so more will be revealed close to that time. First time I've done that, and it's been a long time since I played Gen 7. Well, the Alola games anyway. I played Let's Go on the channel last year. That feels a long time ago, because it was about this time last year. Now, I can think back on it. I think when I last played Gen 7, I've only ever played through start to finish once. I didn't play Base Sun and Moon, I only played Ultra Moon, I think it was. Yes, so it was about the same time that COVID started, so it has been quite a few years since I played the Alola games, so we'll have to see how that one goes. Anyway, that aside, thanks for watching folks, let's get back on with it. Once Team Rocket have been somewhat dealt with, we have the Ice Gym to deal with, and given all three of Price's Pokemon are weak to grass, it's not unreasonable to think that we might have a good chance here. Sure, we will have to be careful due to any errant ice moves, but we should have a shot. I've mentioned before how much I dislike ice gym puzzles in Pokemon games. Anyway, Price. Beanshoot begins versus Seal and we go for a Swords Dance. It's not even an ice type, so I figure it can't really hurt us since any ice move isn't going to be Stab. We do get somewhat hurt by Icy Wind and our speed lowered, which, not ideal, even as we take Seal out with Razor Leaf. Piloswine is next, and I think we are going to hurt it, right up until the point that we get outsped and completely wrecked by Blizzard. Okay, 70% accuracy move, but whatever. Oddball comes in, outspeeds Piloswine, and we crit our Giga Drain to completely wreck that, which is a massive relief. Dewgong is next, it is faster and hits us with Aurora Beam, but we survive, we counter and one-shot it with Giga Drain to give us a new badge. Phew! I pick up a few TMs on the road like Sludge Bomb, and I even decide to try out and see what hidden power type we have. I'm praying that one of them gets something that is effective against steel types. I discover that Oddish's hidden power is Bug, that does us no sort of favours, and that Bellsprout has the Ghost type hidden power, which again doesn't really help us. Let's go and try and brute force the Steel Gym. I'm not going to lie, the prospect of fighting Jasmine isn't something I'm wholly looking forward to. I guess my best option is to try and use one of my team to take on the Magnemites and keep the other one healthy to fight Steelix. That's more than likely the best chance I've got. So, I begin with Bellsprout and my plan is to put the first Magnemite to sleep. I've got a lot of bad memories of status afflictions versus this particular trainer, and as a result I want to be free to power up. When Magnemite falls asleep, we go for a Swords Dance and then a Razor Leaf, which it survives on about a quarter. That's not ideal. I take the chance to go for another swords dance, but it wakes up and lands supersonic. Nuts. We do fight through and take it out with Razor Leaf, which is pretty handy. We shake Confusion off on the next turn and take the second Magnemite down with a single Razor Leaf to put us into the fight with Steelix, and it really shrugs off our +4 Razor Leaf with no problem, losing maybe a third of its health, but we do also use Knockoff to get rid of its Citrus Berry. We don't survive very long and get taken out with an Iron Tail, thanks to also having our defence lowered by Screech. Oddish comes in, and although Jasmine does heal her Giant Metal Snake, we do have the capability to take it out with 2 Giga Drains, thankfully doing enough damage with each one to bring it down before things do get out of control. While I'm going through the radio tower to clean out Team Rocket, I might as well do some Oddish and Bellsprout trivia. Oddish appears to be based on the Mandrake, as well as having similarities to various bulbous plants, such as onions, as well as root vegetables, such as radishes and turnips. Oddish is the only poison-type Pokemon whose body consists of only a head and legs. Oddish does have a scientific name, Odium Wanderus or Odium Wanderus, which is given in its Fire Red, Scarlet and Y Pokédex entries. The only other Pokemon to have a scientific name is Kabutops. Bellsprout shares its category with Vileplume and Blossom. They are all known as the flower Pokemon. Despite learning Leech Life through breeding, Bellsprout and its evolved forms can't learn the move via TM in Gen 7. Bellsprout is tied with Sunkern and Seedot for the lowest base special defense stat of all grass-type Pokemon. Bellsprout may be based on carnivorous pitcher plants, while the Pokemon Red and Green entry also suggest it may be based on the Mandrake. These two Pokemon can be seen as parallels to each other. Both share the grass and poison type, both are Gen 1 Pokemon, both have a 3-stage evolutionary line, both evolve starting at level 21, and their secondary evolution needs a stone to happen. Bellsprout is exclusive to Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Leaf Green and Let's Go Eevee, while Oddish is exclusive to Red, Fire Red and Let's Go Pikachu, with the Pokemon found in the same locations in their respective versions. Both can also be found in White Forest in Pokemon White. We have the rival fight in the Goldenrod Underground next, and I'm reasonably ready for him. Bellsprout has Return and Thief now, so that gives us a bit more of a tactical advantage for coverage. I still think the biggest obstacle ahead might be Koga's Fortress in the Elite Four. We got nothing for that, but we will worry about that later. I did a little training beforehand, but then I get a little confused about the different layout down here before we begin the fight with Rod, and this gives me some food for thought. He begins with Golbat and we start with Bean Shoot. It survives Return and hits Air Cutter for decent damage. I should have Swords Dance with hindsight, but we take it out with a second Return. In the next round, this Quilava survives Return and then nails us with Flame Wheel, which takes us out. Definitely not good. Oddball has to come in and take Quilava out with Sludge Bomb. In the next round, Sneasel hits us with Feint Attack. It could have been an Ice Attack, so that would have been worse, but narrowly survives the Sludge Bomb. However though, it gets poisoned and that does take it out. Haunter is his fourth Pokemon and it confuses us, but we fight through to hit it with Giga Drain. It also goes to Mean Look, but we're not going anywhere. We shake the confusion off and take it down with a second Giga Drain. Magnemite also survives Giga Drain and tags us with a Thunder Wave and a Sonic Boom, but we can hit a second Giga Drain to bring it down and give us the win. Could have gone worse, but I think I need to get stronger and soon. The absolute next major fight in the story is the battle with Archer, and I don't normally include this one in Johto playthroughs, but since he has a pretty phenomenal advantage against us here, I do so on the grounds that it could be interesting. And it is, though not for reasons that I will admit to enjoying. We Swords Dance versus Houndour and then get hit with Fire Fang, which does over half our health. Not even close to ideal, even as we clatter it with Return and take it out. But then Houndoom is next, and it outspeeds us to take us down with another Fire Fang. if Bellsprout isn't faster, Oddish definitely isn't, and although we do survive a Fire Fang and hit it pretty hard with Sludge Bomb, we get taken down with a Bite Attack to give us the loss. I try again straight after, but this time with the idea of not powering up. Just hit Houndour hard and take it down with one return. It is pretty frail, so I'm hoping that is going to be enough. A shame for sure, because Houndour is up there as probably one of my favourite Gen 2 Pokemon. Anyway, my plan for Houndour goes to plan as we outspeed and drop it. And the next opponent is the Houndour. Bellsprout survives the Fire Fang, but we crucially get burned by the move, which isn't good, because then our return only does about a third of its health, and we get taken down with Feint Attack. It goes well when Oddish comes in though, as Houndour misses Fire Fang. Remember, if it ain't 100% accurate, it's 50% accurate. And we drop it with Sludge Bomb. I can't take credit for that quote, by the way, don't think that I am. Koffing, at the last, does try to stall us with Smokescreen, but we take it out with 2 Sludge Bombs, and that's the only real problem with Oddish. The lack of coverage we have for anything that resists grass and or poison. Anyway, moving on. There's a long walk now before we make it to Claire in the Dragon Gym, but eventually we make it there and prepare to throw down with her. I'm not a huge fan of the gym puzzle here, but I'll digress on that comment. I make 2 attempts on her at this level, and on both efforts I lose to Kingdra, having taken out Gyarados and one of the Dragonair over the course of the fight. The Dragonair can paralyse, the Gyarados likes to smash into us with Dragon Rage, and the Kingdra is unfortunately faster than us. Kingdra is always something that seems exceptionally bulky to me, and I have no idea why, but I'm not 100% sure we can do it at this level, so I guess I'll go and grind. It's not fun at this point in the game because there's no good place to go and do it. About the best place is outside the Safari Zone, but again, best is relative. The wild stuff there's about level 25, which, not ideal. I come in at level 60 and prepare to take her on again. Now, I had to do this fight twice because I did it, recorded it, and then had a PC crash. So even though I had this great strategy, it meant I had to deal with her again. My training actually paid off. I didn't even need the choice scarf I put on Oddish. Bean Shoot faces Gyarados and Swords Dancers while we shrug off the Dragon Rage, and then we can strike a return to bring it down. And when a Gyarados gets one hit by something that isn't an electrical attack, it's always nice. Dragonair number 1 gets hit with return, and it isn't a problem anymore, before the next opponent is the Kingdra. It survives a return, but we do at least outspeed, and on the recorded attempt, it only goes for Smokescreen, which doesn't cause us a problem as we wreck it with a second return. The second Dragonair isn't a threat either, and we drop it with return and move on towards dealing with Claire's Hissy Fit and the Dragon's Den trial. Okay, so once that's out the way, we have to go and deal with the Kimono Girls, and this is not a joke, unlike the fight with them in Gen 2. Still, we do have to do this. I'm pretty sure it's Umbreon, Espeon and Flareon first, so 2 out of 3 could be pretty deadly there. Still, we need to do this. There's also a mandatory Ho-Oh encounter, which I can't get out of doing. But the Kimono Girls are fairly not too bad. So I was planning on using Bean Shoot to get past Umbreon and Espeon, and then I figured we'd go down to Flareon. But thanks to Umbreon landing a Confuse Ray and repeated Dark Pulses, Bellsprout actually went down to the Dark-type evolution, which, not ideal. When Oddish came in and finished it with Sludge Bomb, I wasn't expecting to go through. When we one-shot Espeon with Sludge Bomb, I still wasn't expecting to beat all 5 of them. When Flareon survives Sludge Bomb on a few HP and lands Fire Blast, I still think we're going to lose, even as poison damage takes it down. We can get health back from Jolteon and Vaporeon with Giga Drains, but as we get paralysed by Thunder Wave from Jolteon, I'm still expecting a loss, even as we take it down. At least we can get a lot of HP back from Giga Drain Vaporeon, but those Aurora Beams hurt. Anyway, we take it down eventually, but that was somewhat worrying. I'm not covering Bell Tower because I hate this forced mandatory part, but the next major fight is the Victory Road rival fight, and we will be there shortly. So, the Elite Four are probably going to be horrific. Will has Pokemon that are super effective against us, all of them, with Xatu and Jinx probably being the most notable ones due to their types. Koga, I already said, I'm not looking forward to the Fortress. I think my best chance is going to be to Swords Dance 3 times and then try to brute force it with Return, but if Bean Shoot goes down, Oddball isn't going to have much of a chance. I am aware that trying to physically overcome a Fortress with a not very effective move possibly isn't the best idea, but here we are. Bruno will probably be the easiest. Karen could go either way, but we already had Houndoom problems already for Archer, so I think that's probably going to be a bad opponent. Lance has 6 flying type Pokemon, so have a guess how unpleasant that is going to be. I don't even want to think about that just yet. Rival fight though. I think he's been unsettling throughout, even if we've never really looked in too much trouble, but that's always subject to change. That Golbat worries me, I'll just say that. He changes the order up here, beginning with Sneasel. We Swords Dance with Bean Shoot, but the Sneasel goes for Icy Wind, which isn't ideal, and our speed goes down. It misses Fury Swipes, and we down it with Return. Kadabra is next, it fails with Disable, and we down it with Return, before the next opponent is Typhlosion. By a huge stroke of luck, we survive the Lava Plume on 1 HP and take it out with Return, but Golbat finishes us off with Bite. Oddball has to come in and 2-hit Golbat with Sludge Bomb, but we get confused in the process. It never becomes an issue though. Haunter does use Mean Look on us, but we can take it out with 2 Giga Drains before the Magneton is last, and again there's a Magnet Bomb, but 2 Giga Drains are enough to bring it down. That wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. At the Indigo Plateau, and as we're waiting to face the Elite Four, here are our stats, and both of them are in the low 60s level wise, so we do have somewhat of a level advantage over the Elite Four, but given the types on show for opponents, I have reason to worry. We'll see. Bean Shoot has good attack stats for both of them, the speed isn't bad either, but those defense stats are worrying, particularly the special defense. Oddball has great special attack and better defense, but the speed is somewhat worse. I wish we could get more coverage on Oddball. In fact, I'm going to check that out before I go in to fight the Elite Four. But other than that bug type hidden power, I'm not convinced we do get much beyond grass and poison moves and plenty of physical normal type moves that won't do us any favours. I'll see how I do. I mean, I suppose I should say take your guesses on how you think we'll do at this level or not. Right now folks, let's get this on. Psychic type trainer Will is first, and I figure one attack is really going to hurt us, so Bean Shoot might have to put some work in. But I think Bellsprout might well be the main attacking threat across this Elite Four, so let's try this and see what happens. It goes well, but we Swords Dance versus the first Xatu and then get hit with Psychic, but Bean Shoot shrugs it off and takes Xatu down with Return. Jinx also gets taken out with Return before Xatu number 2 is next, and we take that down also with Return. Slowbro is 4th and a Razor Leaf shreds that, meaning that we can go into Executor. Our Shellbell has been recovering health, but when it survives Return and ends us with Psychic, Oddball has to come in and take the Executor down with a Sludge Bomb to give us an early win over Will. Onward to Koga then. This could be rough. We can't be poisoned, which is nice, but Muck and Fortress are bulky, and Crobat could probably outspeed us, so we'll have to see. He at least begins with Ariados, who I don't think can really hurt us, so that's something at least anyway. Let's do this. Anyway, it goes well, and I've been worried about nothing for a while, it would seem. We Swords Dance twice versus Ariados, getting hit with Poison Jab and Spiderweb before taking it out with Return. Crobat does outspeed and goes for double team, but we land the Return to bring it down before the next opponent is Venomoth. Again, Return hits it hard and we end it, before the Fortress survives Return on about a third, which is nice because it could have done a lot less. It goes for Toxic Spikes, which I'm thankful it wasted its turn before we take it down, and then Muck doesn't survive Return either. We take the victory. Nice, nice! Bruno is next, and I decide to begin with Oddball here, just purely to save some PP on Return. Plus, I think Hitmontop might have Intimidate. I might be wrong about that. I know it gets the ability, but not sure if it has it here. Anyway, it's not a great move as we can't one-hit any of the Hitmons with our attacks. Hitmontop eats a Sludge Bomb and some Giga Drains before we bring it down. I mean, I think they are actually surprisingly specially defensively bulky, I believe. Not sure about that one, but I believe so. Hitmonlee survives Sludge Bomb and then gets poisoned, but it also wellies us with Blaze Kick, which isn't entirely ideal. And even after surviving the kicking, we also get punched about by Hitmonchan, and its fists are on fire, and eventually, Oddball does go down. Not good. Beanshoot comes in, Swords Dances, and tanks a Fire Punch before taking down Hitmonchan. Onix goes down to Razor Leaf before the Machamp survives return and hits us back pretty hard with Revenge. But a Razor Leaf finishes Machamp off and gives us the win over Bruno. This is going way too well so far. I feel like there's a pitfall coming our way. Can Dark-type trainer Karen stop our run towards Lance? It's an interesting question and I'm definitely hoping the answer is no, but we will have to see. Her varied team can often be an issue and I've definitely had some problems with Umbreon in the past. We'll have to see. On pretty much every attempt we make, we get wrecked by Houndoom. We aren't even close to being fast enough to outspeed it, and that is an issue because Beanshoot doesn't come out of the fight with Umbreon unscathed. It has Double Team, and thus there becomes a risk of the fight being protracted for longer. And from Houndoom, that flamethrower is just lethal. So, I need to go and train. Could go for Sunny Day to activate our ability, but it's another turn of setup at this point, so not sure if it's the best idea. I come back with Beanshoot at level 72, Oddball having fallen by the wayside a little, and decide to go into the fight with Karen, going for 2 Swords Dancers at the start versus the Umbreon, while it goes for Double Team twice, which definitely not ideal, but we do down it with return for a victory. Simples. Murkrow goes down to return, no change there, and this time we are faster than Houndoom, we hit it hard to take it down with return. Gengar is faster and uses Spike to wipe out some of our return PP, which is very irritating, but we take it out with Thief. Vileplume, at the end, we strike with return for the knockout. Only Lance left then. Right then, we have the Flying type specialist ahead, and I don't know. I hope we can just breeze through with return, power up versus Gyarados and hope for the best. I really hope it doesn't have Ice Fang, or we might be in trouble. Spoiler alert, I found out that it does. I make several stabs at this fight and there's yet another obstacle in the form of Aerodactyl, which I didn't see coming. Right up until the moment it consistently outspeeds Beanshoot every single time, which is definitely not good at all in the slightest, since an Aerial Ace comes our way. Gyarados isn't a problem if we don't get crit because we can use a few Swords Dance attacks then. We are fast enough to outspeed and one hit both Charizard and Dragonite, but it's just the Aerodactyl who stands in our way. So yet again, I may need to go and train up so that we can get past this obstacle. There's always something, isn't there? I come back in at level 84, ready to go again. We did outspeed Karen's Gengar this time, so maybe, just maybe, we might be faster than Aerodactyl. Or maybe we might weather a hit. We'll have to see for sure. Anyway, first bit of the fight goes very similar. We go for 2 Swords Dancers versus Gyarados and get hit with 2 Ice Fangs, though we do take them a lot better this time. We then smack the Water type out with a return, putting 1 down. Next is Charizard, and yeah, return does it in. Third is one of the Dragonites, and again, return. Aerodactyl, still faster, but we do survive the Aerial Ace this time on red health and down it with Razor Leaf. There are 2 Dragonite left, neither of which are problematic. We outspeed them both, we one-hit them both, and that gives us victory over Lance. And with that, we have won. We have beaten the champion. We can advance into the Hall of Fame, and we've got some claim to victory. Of course though, this is the remake of Gen 2, this is Johto, so we've got the post-game in Kanto. So, I need to go and fight the Kanto gym leaders. I'm not focusing too much on them. They are harder than they are in the original games, but I am going to jump straight to the battle with Blue. I begin with a choice Scarfed Oddish, believe it or not. We face Executor first. I actually didn't know that was coming, and we crit our Sludge Bomb to hit it hard and wreck it in one hit. Next is Arcanine, and although we outspeed and hit Sludge Bomb, it survives and one hits us with Flare Blitz. Unfortunately, the recoil doesn't take it out. Bean Shoot comes in and we Swords Dance while he heals, and then we down the legendary Doggo with Return. Pidgeot goes down to Return when that comes in next, and then we have the Gyarados. We strike a Razor Leaf and it goes for Dragon Dance, but we do a dance of our own when he heals. Ours involves swords, and then we strike it out with Return. Rhydon goes down to Razor Leaf before the Machamp at the last also goes down to Return. And just like that, we have taken victory in the fight versus Blue. I don't think we're going to be able to beat Red, but I could be wrong. We will have to see. I will make a few tries, but I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time at it. It's quite easy to forget that Mount Silver is laid out differently in this game than in the originals, but given that saying could be applied to quite a big bulk of the rest of the game, I don't know why I should think it's any different, but we've got to at least try this. We have to do what we must. It's levels. All of his team are at least in the 70s. I think they're actually in the 80s in this game, so it's not like we've got an unassailable level gap to overcome our power deficiency. He doesn't have Espeon in this game, which is good, since I had a few issues with Sabrina's Espeon, but a Lapras in a snowstorm with Blizzard isn't particularly better. Plus, there's hail, and no, I'm not changing the dates to the one day of the year when it's diamond dust rather than snowflakes coming down. Let's try this then. I make about half a dozen attempts and they all go to a similar pattern. We lose at least one of our team versus the Pikachu, who we can't outspeed or one hit, which is pretty much the death knell. And even once that's over, the Charizard is next. We definitely don't outspeed that, and we're probably about battered up enough from the Pikachu that an Air Slash or a Dragon Pulse just ends us, meaning that it's not even competitive as a battle. Now, I could grind up both of them to level 100, but that amount of grinding, particularly on Oddball, is just something that doesn't appeal to me at this point, particularly when it might not even make a difference. I think we're probably still going to get dispatched quite easily, so I am going to bow out here. I'm going to call it. One day, there might be a Heart Gold challenge where I do beat Red, but the will is not there for today. So, yeah, I know, that ended on a bit of a flat note perhaps, but I really hope you enjoyed this challenge. Thanks for watching if you stuck through to this point. Some bits aside, I'm always happy to do challenges in this game. I can see why people regard these as top tier Pokemon games. If you have enjoyed, folks, please leave a like, call out with a comment and smash the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge as we head to Hoenn and see if I can beat Pokemon Emerald with just a single Paras. A whole new set of obstacles right there, given Paras is renowned for having some pretty notable weaknesses. I think it's probably fair to say Bug and Grass might be up there as one of the worst type combinations possible. So yeah, fun, fun, fun. We'll see. As always, if there's any ideas for challenges you have and would like to see, head to the comment section down below or follow links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. Do I have much to say? Had a nice Valentine's Day for sure. Or rather celebrated it a few days earlier with my better half. That was good. It was a nice night, so that's something. Got some time off work upcoming, so hoping to go away during that. I feel like I need a break away. This year has been pretty intense so far. We had about 34 weeks of January, and February feels like a bit of a meander too. But by the time this comes out, it'll nearly be over. I have just booked some tickets for later on in the year for me and my girlfriend, so looking forward to that in November. Going to jump off here, folks, so as always, thanks for watching. I've been Once and Future Gamer, and this has been Pokémon Heart Gold with a team of Oddish and Bellsprout. Take care, have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye bye, so long, see you. Take care, folks.